Hello, Medford Arts Center Poetry Gathering friends. I'm Naomi.
And I'm Vince. Happy
spring!
Yay! We made it through winter.
We're very happy to share with you today's presentation. We will be sharing the works of 10 poets altogether. 5 of them were recipients of the Honorable Mention Awards in our poetry contest back in December. So we hope that you will enjoy them and their poems. I'm just going to list their names, but you will see them also in the video along with the names of their works. Sue Jeney will be sharing her haiku, The World Holds Its Breath. Pat McDermott will also be sharing a haiku about social distancing. Ben Brandt will be sharing his poem, The Dead Cannot Sing. Isabella Irano will be sharing her poem, Fantasy. And April Stahl will be sharing her poem, Sorry.
And you'll also hear from 5 other artists. Their poetry will be read over some beautiful visuals that we took for you as we crisscrossed the state during some good weather a few weekends ago. We're going to take you coast to coast. We'll take you all the way up to a new favorite town of ours called Stockton, which is north of Lambertville along the Raritan Canal Trail. We'll also stop by in South Trenton at what is called the South Riverwalk Park. It's a hidden gem that we truly encourage you to explore. And we'll end up at one of our favorite places, LBI, but it's at a very little known park, only known by dogs, but we explored it for you.
And us.
Yeah.
And a fox.
And a fox. We
as
saw
well.
a fox.
We saw a fox.
So we hope you enjoy poems from local artists and other artists we're sure you'll know, and the beautiful scenery of our beautiful state from coast to coast.
I was inspired to write this about 2 weeks after the election. It still rings true today. The world holds its breath. Will we ever reunite? Still red, white, and bruised. The world holds its breath. Will we ever reunite? Still red, white, and bruised. Thank you. Sue Jeney.
My name is Pat McDermott. The inspiration for my poem comes from the artwork of a United States veteran and artist, Joey Arness, titled Social Distancing. A haiku cascade. Reflections on social distancing. Falling in love, under the light of the moon, 6 feet apart. Falling in love, under the light of the moon, 6 feet apart. The world, a checkerboard of diversity, 6 feet apart. The world, a checkerboard of diversity, 6 feet apart. Assigned spaces. Cemetery grounds. 6 feet under. Assigned spaces. Cemetery grounds. 6 feet under. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Ben Brandreth. I'm a senior at Cherokee High School, and I'm going to be reading my poem, The Dead Cannot Sing. I reached into silence and pulled out a whisper, a silence made violent by the sound of that whisper. And it was so quiet that you'd think something's wrong, but the dead cannot sing, so there is nothing wrong. But the dead, they can whisper and say little things, just a fraction of action, because the dead cannot sing. But with just a small whisper, they can share their emotions, their pain and their chains and their endless devotion, but silence. If the dead were really dead, then they would be quiet. So is it just my head that they really speak to? Or am I just with them, with a body to breathe through? I don't know. But if I'm alive, I am dreaming, and if this was a nightmare, then I'd wake up screaming. But the dead only whisper, not a terrible thing. So I thank all the living that the dead cannot sing.
Hi, my name is Isabella Irano, and this is my poem, Fantasy. I often wake from dreaming that I live upon the stars. Then I realize that's the wishing of a reckless, lonely heart. I've tried to chase the sunlight, it runs away and screams. But when the real world fails me, I always have my dreams. My eyes are busy looking for the littlest of signs, but that's all just superstitions from my overactive mind. I don't mind this waiting, for I've nothing else to do. I know you think I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy too. I'd like to watch the world turn so that I will know my role, but I know that's just the cravings of an insatiable soul. I wish I didn't want it. I wish this were enough. Am I yet a diamond, or am I still in the rough? Some days I look up thinking there's no color in the sky. Then I see it's just a trick played by my pessimistic eyes. It's not hard to face the sun and let your shadows fall behind you, but there's comfort found in darkness. If you're reckless, it will blind you.
Hello, my name is April, and this is a poem about the deterioration of a relationship. It's called Sorry. I said that I was sorry. I had to turn around. You had no legs, and so I left you sitting on the ground. For I had no arms to pick you up and take you home. I had to go, but didn't know if I could walk alone. Perhaps I had no back to turn. I simply stood and stared until I realized that your face was frozen, cold, and bare. You had no eyes to look at me, no nose to smell my scent. I could have sworn I'd kissed those lips. I wonder where they went. I tried to take a step and fell, and looking down I saw nothing left below my knees. My feet were all but gone. And then my ears began to close, my body growing weak. My throat swelled shut, and soon enough I could not even speak. You too were folding, shutting down, and soon we both were dust. And so we blew our separate ways on each our separate gusts. And live as if we never had our hearts, our skin, our hair. I guess that all we thought we had was never really there. Thank you.
A Light Exists in Spring by Emily Dickinson. A light exists in spring, not present on the year, at any other period when March is scarcely here. A color stands abroad on solitary fields that science cannot overtake, but human nature feels. It waits upon the lawn, it shows the furthest tree. Upon the further slope, you know, it almost speaks to you. Then, as horizons step or noons report away, without the formula of sound, it passes and we stay. A quality of loss affecting our content, as trade had suddenly encroached upon a sacrament. Our next artist is Mary Oliver, and this is Mary Oliver's Spring. Somewhere a bear has risen from sleep and is staring down the mountain. All night, in the brisk and shallow restlessness of early spring, I think of her, her 4 black fists flicking the gravel, her tongue like a red fire touching the grass, the cold water. There is only one question: how to love this world. I think of her rising like a black and leafy ledge to sharpen her claws against the silence of the trees. Whatever else my life is, with its poems and its music and its glass cities, it is also this dazzling darkness coming down the mountain, breathing and tasting. All day I think of her white teeth, her wordlessness, her perfect love.
Our next poem was published in the Herald on March 12th, 1888. That's significant only because the poem was entitled The First Dandelion, but more so because it was published the day before a tremendous blizzard hit New York. And suddenly Walt Whitman was accused of jinxing the spring. After Whitman's poem was published, others published their own, calling it The First Blizzard, or After Walt Whitman, or Served Him Right. Well, we hope this is a spring that will not be interrupted by a blizzard. This is Walt Whitman's The First Dandelion. Simple and fresh and fair from winter's close emerging, as if no artifice of fashion, business, politics had ever been. Forth from its sunny nook of sheltered grass, innocent, golden, calm as the dawn, the spring's first dandelion shows its trustful face. Our next artist is William Wordsworth, and this is Daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
And now we would like to take you with us on a little walk, a stroll through a park in Trenton. This is known as the South Riverwalk Park. And it is a park built on top of the Route 29 tunnel along the Delaware. So you'll see as the camera goes to the left, the water on your left, and then you'll see the archway that enters the park. That is the opening to the park. And then you'll see several archways beyond that.
Each archway represents a different century, and you can tell based upon the materials used to create the archways. And they're kind of aligned, so you can see them all together, but then you can also approach them separately. And as you approach them, you see beneath you at your feet different stone markers. Again, this is the entrance, but as you approach these arches, you see these stones beneath your feet that have years written on them, as well as events that took place during those centuries. It's really a wonderful education as well as a beautiful stroll.
And here's the beginning of the plaques that Vince is talking about. There are so many of them leading up to each archway. And then under each archway are metal plaques as well, with more detailed information. It's a wonderful place to bring your children, students, lovers of history would so appreciate all of this. Most of the plaques, and there you go, there's the first archway, which represents the Native American Indians and the material that was used, the building materials that were used. But most of these plaques represent business, finance, politics, and there is even one plaque that discusses a baseball milestone.
And then we mentioned this park is basically atop a tunnel that is Route 29. To arrive here, we took 295 north to 29 north. And then we made a left-hand turn into the parking lot of a restaurant called Cooper's. This is all in a South Trenton executive park adjacent to Arm & Hammer Baseball Park, where the Trenton Thunder play. Plenty of parking. There are clear walkways that take you to this park that are off the street, so it's safe to walk. And it's open, it's airy, and the water's always there for you to see as well. And now a gift from John O'Donohue. This is to bless the space between us. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. We hope you enjoyed that, the presentations of the artists, as well as our trip around New Jersey. We really do enjoy combining these gatherings with a little bit of an adventure outside. So we hope we can continue to do that as the weather gets warmer. There's so much to see in this area, and so much to see in New Jersey.
There was a lot of sand.
Yeah, there was.
There was sand.
Yes.
But that's okay, because we were out, we were hiking, we were exploring. We saw places we had never seen before and places that we know we want to return to.
Oh, and I will put the names of those places in the comment section on the YouTube video, under the YouTube video. So please look for those if you want to explore a little further for yourself. And speaking of the YouTube videos, please do subscribe, hit that subscribe button wherever it is, where you see it, so that you can learn more about what we're doing at the Medford Arts Center. And it's just also a great way for us to see if you're enjoying not only our videos, but the videos that they are offering, and the experiences and the education that they're offering over at the Medford Arts Center.
That's right. There's so much going on at the Medford Arts Center. And as the weather turns, it's a beautiful opportunity. Take a walk down Main Street, look in the windows, but visit the Medford Arts Center website, because you never know what's going to happen next.
So,
You want to talk about transitions?
yes. Well, this is a time, spring is a time of transition, as is our world is going through a transition. So I just want to say that we're all in a different place, but we're all moving towards hopefully a better place. So we continue to say prayers for our friends and our families. We share in others' sadness in families where there has been loss, and we do hope that with the spring there is a sense of hope and renewal and
Joy.
For what's next.
Enjoy the sun until we see you again. Be well.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.